Okay, Holmes, there's one last thing I need from you.
Yes.
Money is water and water is money. So I've heard a lot about this quote from you. Why don't you tell our audience? Because this is so fascinating and so thoughtful of you that you composed this. So please.
Well, this is my little ode, and I have been in shipping now for 20 years in the cruise industry, but obviously in shipbuilding before. And I was fascinated by all the terms. But big parts of my life, like Venezuela, and when I lived in Brazil, I saw 3,000% inflation, money. And I started to look at the correlation between water and money. And that's what took me to what's called the law of water. It was based on Admiralty maritime law. And if you fly over planet Earth, you see two things, land and sea. The land is divided by jurisdiction and has its own law, but it's based on the law of water. And you have the sea, which is 2/3 of the land, of the earth. And it's interesting that our body is 2/3 water and 1/3 bone. So there's a symbiotic relationship between us and the water. And so I looked into it more, and then I understood that you have terms like cash flow. So what is cash flow? How does the cash flow? No, it's water. Because money is water and water is money. And if I gave you $100,000, where would you put the money?
Bank.
In a bank. You'd have to put it in a bank before you figure out where to spend it. Where did the word bank come from? Riverbank. Because the two banks of the river control the flow of the water. And the two banks, through transactions, control the flow of the money. Because money is water and water is money. So what do you call a flow of water?
Current.
What is yes, it's a current. Yeah. And if you think about it, a current is the current moment. So if you walk across a river, where the water hits you, that's the current moment that you're in. And the current is the energy that pushes the water. And the current, that's why you have a current account, because that's the energy of the money pushing through your account.
True.
And it was Heraclitus that said that no man can ever cross the same river twice, for he is not the same man, and it is not the same river.
Wow.
And not the same water. Yeah. And that's why you're on the current moment, because that current moment is unique to that moment.
True.
So look at this. The two banks of the river control the flow of the current to the sea. Currency.
And
the currency is the water of the planet, which is 2/3 of the planet and dominates the earth. And it has its own jurisdiction, the law of water. Now, what's important to understand is that you're a pilot and you see ships, why is a ship a she? We always hear that,
Yeah.
There she sails, we say, Our Lady. And we hear these cruise lines, Princess Cruises, Oriana, and in Virgin Voyages, they have the Scarlet Lady, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Mary.
Yeah.
They're always female, and we have, when we do a new voyage, it's called a maiden voyage,
Yes.
And when the ship comes into the port, the port agent serves it, and we call, do you know what we call those services? Husbandry services, because we're the husband to the ship. So the ship is a she, and that's part of the law of water, and it's connected to the money as well. So you have to bear with me to understand this. So a ship is a vessel floating on water.
Right.
So who drives the ship?
Captain.
The captain. So the captain, where did the word captain come from? Captain, it comes from the word Kapitolio, which is a Greek word, which means capital. Because if you think about it, the captain's in charge of the capital of the ship, which is the asset, the cargo, and the people.
True.
Because he's in charge of the safety of lives.
True.
And when you've got passengers on a ship, people is money.
Yeah.
So the captain steers the ship towards the port. The port is portal. Porta comes from the Latin word, yeah? And it means entry point. Yeah? And that's why a portal is an entry point. So as the ship goes towards the port, the ship is greeted by you, the pilots.
Yeah.
Because it has to go in through the deep water canal so it doesn't ground.
Yeah,
It doesn't go near because sometimes entering ports, the depth of the water varies.
Yes.
So it's the pilot that guides the ship through the safe deep water canal or channel. Yeah. And then the ship gets into the harbour, it manoeuvres and it docks into a berth.
Right.
And the ship berths, and then the people of the ship, the crew, and the passengers,
or
they
the cargo,
manifest on the land.
Yeah.
Passenger manifest, crew manifest. And then all the activities that happen from the crew and the cargo and the passengers, they all disperse on the land. That's why the port agent makes a disbursement account. It accounts for all the disbursements that happen, and all those disbursements on the land create money for they have lots of revenue streams, we call them. Now, what's that got to do with a woman? Well, a woman, a female, is a vessel for another human being inside her, and that baby lives inside the mother in water. You can't make it up. And she has a big stomach with water.
Yeah.
And when the water breaks, the midwife helps the baby come out. The midwife is you, the pilot.
Correct.
And guides the baby out through the birth canal. It's literally called the birth canal.
Yeah.
And then the baby manifests on the land. And what do we give the baby? A certificate of manifest, which is called a birth certificate. Because the baby birthed on the land.
Yeah.
And when a ship goes to birth, it's the same thing.
Okay.
And it goes from one dimension to the other dimension, from water to land.
True.
And the baby goes from water to land. So you give the baby a birth certificate. And with a birth certificate, what do you get? A passport. Because you pass by the port. And with a passport, what do you get? Citizenship.
Ship.
Because you're on the ship of citizens.
Yeah.
And that birth certificate and that whole citizenship is tradable on the stock exchange for the government. And that is an asset to the government. That is a value. Because the people are the assets for each of the countries. That's why India has a great asset, right?
Yeah.
1.3 billion people. So money is water, and water is money. And that's the law of water.
Wow. Holmes, it's like one of the most spiritual podcasts I've ever had. Philosophical, spiritual, and you have so much of experience of life, cruise shipping, entrepreneurship, casinos, travel. Thank you so much, Holmes, to be here today. I know it's been a little longer than what we expected, but
no problem.
There's so much learning we got today. So guys, there's so much learning in this podcast. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. And Mr. Holmes is there on LinkedIn. With his permission, I will put his link on LinkedIn profile link in the description. So if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions for him, please feel free to connect. Thank you so much, Mr. Holmes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate. Really
Real
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. See you port to port. Thank you.